Let's talk about some NBA because this is really pissing off a lot of people. We got the story from the Black Wall Street Times. Access is the new civil right, they say. With no mandate, some NBA players refusing COVID vaccine ahead of season. They say the most popular question that players have been asked has been concerning their vaccination status. Currently, there is no mandate from the league for the players to be vaccinated. League spokesman Mike Bass told ESPN, quote, "A vaccine mandate for NBA players would need an agreement with the player association. The NBA has made these proposals, but the players union has rejected any vaccination requirement. Most NBA players are vaccinated, but stragglers remain. Roughly 90% of NBA players are vaccinated as training camp approaches, according to league sources, but tensions are growing between staffers who are vaccinated and players who refuse them. In some instances, staffers said they're upset the players aren't facing the same vaccine requirements as most team staff and referees. In other instances, staffers said they're concerned about the health risks of being exposed to unvaccinated players. Two of the league's biggest stars, Bradley Beal and Kyrie Irving, both said they were not vaccinated during their team's media day. And I just got to say, guys, you need to stop fighting this. Us rich people are exempt from all of this. NBA stars, famous podcast hosts. Yo, you go look at the Met Gala. Just accept your fate. You know, AOC doesn't got to wear a mask. All of the servants do. All right? This is the direction that we're going. I'm kidding, by the way, but I'm half kidding. It's true, though. Like, NBA players are like, we're not going to do it. Meanwhile, the support staff are being forced to do it.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting stories. And, I don't see any National Guard coming in to replace Kyrie Irving that could average 25 points and 8 assists a game. But cool, though, it's right? Really interesting with the NBA because it actually first started off with, for folks who don't know, like LeBron James has massive power over the league. It's almost like whatever he said kind of sways. And he actually came out and didn't want to get the vaccine. I think he just got vaccinated, but he didn't want to get the vaccine. And that kind of forced the Players Association to say, you know what, no mandate. So it's really interesting to see, and especially the star players speak out. So like a Bradley Beal, a Kyrie Irving, who hold a lot of weight. That's going to be interesting to see. Andrew Wiggins, who is the shooting guard for the Warriors in Oakland, he applied for the religious exemption and got it denied. So now he could only play away games. I'm really curious just to see how that's going to turn out.
Only away games.
It's interesting the difference between the NFL and the NBA.
Right.
Because like in the NBA, you have 5 guys can win you a championship for the most part. I mean, you do have a bench, but it's 5 guys. But the NFL, you need 12. So the star power is much greater in the NBA. One individual like LeBron can command a team and a league.
Yeah, in the NBA, they need those star players to fill those seats. Like in NBA, it's just those star players are more rare than the NFL. So it's really interesting to see like the Kyries, Bradley Beal, and other players come out and speak out. Yeah, because Bradley Beal just had a media day and he said, "Hey, you know what? I already had COVID. I have the antibodies." He said, and then he looked at the media and said, "I assume all you guys are vaccinated, yet you could still get it." So it's like I said, it's interesting right now just with the mandates and all this stuff. And then I'm curious of what's going to happen to Andrew Wiggins because now the owner might be like, you know what? If you're not going to get vaccinated and I can only use you on the road, I'm going to just release you and just pick up another guy who's willing to
yeah, but he's got a contract, right? They can't
just
do that.
Yeah, and he's a good player. He's not like he's like a guy you just kind of, like I said, no National Guard is going to come in for Andrew Wiggins and put on 15 points and 10 boards a game.
You know, therethere's a lot of protests. There was a video from a couple days ago where people in Staten Island who were unvaccinated like stormed into a mall and were chanting USA and because New York has the vax mandate. But you see little pockets here and there. You can Google it. You can find the stories of a few hundred people. I don't think it's enough to stop government overreach. The government's going to mandate it. People are just going to follow suit.
I agree. I actually thought that the turnouts would be much larger. We haven't seen them now. I covered a few of these anti-mandate protests back in California, and one thing that I've noticed, at least from the protests that I covered, is the first responder community is really against the mandates. I'm talking about nurses, police officers. Like I said, the story I think to watch out right now is the LA County firefighters who are now going to be suing the county, and they are really stepping up and saying, we're not doing this. So I think that could be a turning point for a lot of first responders, depending how that firefighter case goes.
I'm not convinced that's going to affect the public the way, Kyrie Irving would. You've got the NBA, and what happens if some owner is like, I'm not gonna use you for these games because you're refusing to get vaccinated? No, they can't do it. They got star power on their hands. When celebrities like Nicki Minaj come out, all of a sudden their fans don't care about your tribe. They don't care about science. They don't care about whatever your rules are. They're just like, big fan of Nicki Minaj. She said it. We're done. And they'll start tweeting in support of her. Love you, Nicki. You're the best. Especially with the NBA stars. Now LeBron, I guess, came out and was praising China. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
He came out and was saying, that I guess he got vaccinated and he's supportive of it. So that will have a lot of weight. But I got to say, when I watch some of these viral videos, I feel like regular people are going to see this, and that those vocal, people in the NBA or of high status are going to, for one, probably a lot of people will just blindly agree with him. There's probably a lot of people who are going to be like, I'm a big fan, dude. Yeah, whatever you say. But there's going to be a lot of people now who will feel less scared. They're going to be like, if they can do it, so can I. I can speak up. I can stand up for myself. And it's really interesting to see. There were protests, big protests in New York. I'm surprised to see protests in New York over this. I mean, New York is a Democrat stronghold, but you see New Yorkers holding up signs. I kind of feel like the media is lying about the sentiment on this one. If the bluest place in the country, New York City, I think it's the bluest place. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's San Francisco. I don't know. But in a particularly Democrat place has thousands of protesters. Certainly regular people are like, yo, the vaccines are great, but you can't force people to take these things, right?
I've had, for the last, I think, week, when I go into Twitter, what's happening? First thing that shows up is Biden's vaccine mandate for workers is supported by legal precedents, experts say. And that same headline and thing keeps popping up every day, like they're trying to convince me of it. So there, obviously, it kind of supports. I think it supports what you're saying. That I think that the media is forcing the narrative or attempting to.
That is such a manipulative propaganda thing because you can argue that the legislature can put in rules for OSHA, but not Biden by decree. So that's why are we getting our legal analysis from Twitter staff? You know what I mean? But people believe this stuff.
The problem is like when the media does this thing, they are not exactly able to convince like normal schmucks who are watching TV to be like, oh, now the media said it, let's go and get the vaccine. It's more about like private organizations like restaurants and like club owners. They're thinking that, oh, is this the mass sentiment? Now we have to mandate it. I went to Brooklyn literally this Saturday and I had to show my vax card in one club and in order to get into a yacht. So they are mandating it left, right, and center. And I think like the way the private organizations get their information is that they watch media and they think that, oh, this is the sentiment, so we need to follow the laws. And then they just imply with it.
Well, that's why it's big if the NBA stars and celebrities are coming out and they're speaking out against this.
Yeah, I thought the Nicki Minaj thing was
wild,
huge.
It was a wild news cycle.
It was great.
Just that crossover with her and Tucker is exactly what we needed. I wish Trump was I wish Trump had his Twitter because I just wanted to see what he would even say
about Nicki Minaj.
He would be like Nicki Minaj, one of the greatest rappers of all time. Everyone agrees is standing up for the rights of the working class.
But I love that week because I remember just watching Tucker and he would be like praising Nicki, then he would just bash the whole GOP. He'd be like, "Why is Nicki braver than any GOP representative?" Then
it's true.
You always have like those Republicans like, "Oh, but she's pro-abortion." It's like that doesn't matter on right now. Like right now this is an area where you could win over a lot of people when it comes to this. This is body autonomy. Win over people in the
especially
like you were saying
hip hop community. Like if Nicki says something, hip hop.
Oh right.
And hip hop is like 90% black probably. Like and they will like roll with it. Like but you saw people exactly pushing back Nicki. It's like, hey, she needs to be like shut down now. Like we don't.
Yeah, it was huge. I think Jay-Z just had a meeting with the new mayor of New York, and it was all like, oh, I'm talking to her of how we could.
You mean the governor?
Yeah, the governor, and he was like, oh, I was talking to her about how we could, get more of our people in our community vaccinated. So it's like it's big when Nicki could come out and step out against that narrative. Then I love that she was speaking about censorship, and then she like blasts those journalists and like
Hassan Piker got real by Nicki. Yes. That was the best day ever. Like out of all people.
No, my favorite thing, like the reason why I was so much on the Nicki train is like if you could drive Joy Reid crazy on MSNBC. I am on your team, so I love watching Joy just freak out.
Hassan's response to Nicki was that Tucker was a white nationalist.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I'm like, here's a guy who has nothing to say for this conversation.
Yeah.
Like Hassan is just like, if that's his hot take for this, it has nothing to do with the issues of liberty, freedom, medical, public health. It's just literally like, well, that guy's a white nationalist. Wow, excellent commentary on the issue,
nice,
Hassan.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then we're also seeing with the college universities, it's like even with the mandates, they're still seeing COVID outbreaks. Like Duke University had like an outbreak of like over 300 kids tested positive for COVID, and only 8 of those kids were unvaccinated. So even you're seeing it in Duke University. You're seeing it in a lot of these universities where like their vaccination rate is like at 99 or 98%. Like I was even reading Harvard just went to like online classes for 3 weeks, and their vaccination rate is like at 97%.
Well, let me pull this up real quick. CBS News, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says NBA players who refuse the COVID vaccine should be disciplined.
Oh boy.
Oh, great.
Disciplined. These people are insane.
Get in line, boy.
They're genuinely nuts.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith too on ESPN was coming out and saying, "Oh, you need to trade Kyrie Irving." It's like that's just the kind of world we're living. It's like you like step out of that narrative and they attack you. It's like, man, it's not even about like I said. Even the places that we're seeing the most vaccinated rates, there's still outbreaks.
Yeah, this is what's concerning me. If that trend continues, what you're pointing out at in the colleges, and that people keep getting these breakthrough cases after vaccination, then at what point will people say stop mandating this if there's still going to be breakouts anyway? Because like they don't mandate flu shots. You can get a flu shot and it can help you, but you can still get the flu. So at what point are people going to?
I have two questions. I'm seeing all over Twitter. They're like the unvaccinated are a threat to the vaccinated, right? They're like, we got to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated,
which makes
and
no
sense. A lot of people on the left are saying like, if we're gonna get through this, then everyone has to be vaccinated, otherwise there'll be variants. And I'm like the flu, like the flu vaccine that nobody gets. Like a lot of people get it, the flu shot every year.
Yeah, the COVID-19 vaccine is the first vaccine in the world that doesn't work unless you have it too.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. I understand the point they're making. There'll be variants, right?
Yeah.
Because it'll fester within certain communities, and then eventually the vaccine stops working. But we don't even do that for the flu. So what's different here? Like, no, I get COVID is worse. I get it's like, it's scary, people can't breathe and stuff like that. But we're not talking about airborne Ebola. Is it just like because it is novel, all of a sudden we're like, this is the one where everyone's got to get the vaccine, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. We're in some interesting times, and then we're also seeing the push for the booster shot. So that like the FDA just recently came out and they didn't approve it for everyone. I think they only approved it for 65 and older. It's also interesting to see how the other countries react. So the president of Mexico came out and said, "We are not vaccinating anyone under 12 years old. We're not letting big pharma play a role in this." Which I was like, "Whoa!"
Wow,
and he's a leftist, almost as a leftist. So he came out and spoke out against it. That's what I'm interested to see is the Pfizer's making that push to get like 5 to 12-year-olds vaccinated. Which is like we haven't seen any data that they need it.
No risk whatsoever at that age group now.
We won't say no risk, but it is like very, very, very
minimal,
low.
Yeah.
And I guess the issue is they're concerned kids will get it and then transfer it to old people.
Yeah.
But I got to say, you've got there's interestingly two main camps in this. There's actually, at this point, I don't even think it's anti-vax. I think it's mostly anti-mandate. I think most people actually agree it's fine, get it. But the weird question is like, why are you making literally everyone get it? It doesn't make sense. Like, why are they forcing everyone to do it? The big thing that they're not telling you, Joe Biden comes out and he said, 98% of people got to be vaccinated to go back to normal. What they're not telling you is that a large portion of those who aren't vaccinated live in the middle of nowhere. So it's like you can see an NBA player and ask them like, why won't you get the vaccine? And they'll say, well, I've had it before. I have the antibodies. The government should mandate this. But what they're not showing you when they say like, a quarter of people, Biden's like a quarter of people haven't gotten it. It's like, like Jim Bob, who lives up on the mountain, who's got no neighbors and is a homesteader, is like not going to drive into a city to risk himself during a pandemic just to get a vaccine that would reduce the risk he doesn't have because he lives in the middle of nowhere. They don't take into consideration rural living, homesteaders, farms, people who don't go into cities, and people who are talking to their doctors and for medical reasons aren't getting it. They're just blanket saying everyone's got to get it. That makes no sense. Why would someone who lives in rural Wyoming be concerned about getting sick when they don't see anybody for 6 months? They're probably like, I'm not even going to see a doctor to give me the vaccine. But they include those people in all these numbers too.
Yeah, and like in California, LA County, which is one of the bigger counties in the United States, LA County is so big that like it's not just like the city of LA. There's a bunch of rural communities in LA County. So for us, it didn't make sense to see that, they would like shut down all these businesses, and it affected even the rural communities, in the middle of nowhere that, like you said, that they're not connected to the city. It's like a one size fit all, which has just been detrimental. Then, LA County too was the only county out of all of the United States to make the restaurants close out their indoor and also outdoor dining. They were the only county that did takeout only as well, and it affected the rural communities that are not even near the city.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.